switched everything up on a sister over here. What's up, everybody, and welcome to a WNBA State of Mind where we mainly discuss basketball, but we love other sports. And I'm here with my guy, Dominique Don Dada Wilford, for a great show. Uh, we about to chop it up about the WNBA, NBA, what's hot in NCAA, and this past week. However, the JUCO shocks everybody with the new announcement. I guess to help students go D1. I mean, it's crazy out here. But first up, the biggest topic in the WNBA right now has to be Jewel Lloyd accusing the Seattle coaching staff of bullying, which I honestly need clarity on because never in my years of playing did I see Ebony Hoffman nor Noel Quinn acting this way. Okay. Perry left for the NBA. So that leaves Pokey Chapman and GM Talissa Rhea to question. I mean, I need more answers.
Pokey's in Brazil.
And kudos to her because that's my spot. You already know that. And
Yeah.
um, I mean, the league investigated and found the allegations to be misleading. So my solution is to negotiate a trade and get her out of there before training camp,
Yeah. They got
again,
some time.
to avoid like season-long issues for both parties. I mean, she's from Chicago. Chicago's rebuilding. They're trying to do a good thing out there. They got a new coach. Tyler's over there. Maybe they could bring her home, or imagine she and Jordan Canada, they would be a problem in Atlanta. Talk a little bit about that. You did mention that Pokey is in Brazil, which is also great news.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such an unfortunate situation with the growth of the league and where we are to kind of have that nasty blemish as a league on your record right now. You notice the media is kind of keeping it pretty quiet. I'm pretty sure, we got some time here. A move will be made. We both know that, but will it be the right move for both parties? And that's the most concerning as Jewel, she's 31 now. So she's on we hitting that age where you got a couple more good years left. So, how will that transpire in her goal being the gold mamba to get that gold trophy?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that bully word is that's a tough word, and that's probably why when they did the investigation, they didn't find anything because there really has to be something like that
Yeah.
going on. And like
But
the personalities that I know to be over
mhm,
there in Seattle, I really can't see it.
yeah.
Maybe it's like, the word might be pressure, and not so much bullying.
Yeah, yeah, you may be right on that. And you got to also look on the back burner. None of Noel's assistants are there. They're all gone, including, some of the training staff. So, there's got to be some validity to some of that, but you're very correct on, that's the wrong word from her camp to use as far as bullying.
Yeah, that word's getting a lot of people in trouble. It's costing a lot of people their jobs. So, we got to be careful on, how we use that word out there, ladies. And you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind. Got my guy Don Dada over here. We chopping it up, talking about Jewel Lloyd out there in Seattle with the bullying allegations against the coaching staff out there. And, hopefully they will clear that up within the next coming weeks, as the year turns. Looking on to the other side, on the other hand, Reebok, you know, kudos to Reebok, is once again a WNBA footwear supplier, for the league with the new collaboration. And I really appreciate that. Reebok had some great shoes out there. I wore a lot of AIs, you guys. I miss those AIs, either
They,
wear.
they were the first sponsor of the ABL, right?
Okay, they sure were. And I mean, all the way to the G units, 50 cent G unit. So I like to see some of these shoes coming back, especially some of the old school shoes, and Paige Beckers is more than likely to go number one to Dallas, as we know, and I don't see anything like messing with that. You had a really good take the last podcast that we did, a nice conversation about that, and talking about the chemistry. Can you elaborate on that again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's only one basketball. When you're running a pro franchise, you can really only have one alpha male. If you look back at the whole Kobe and Shaq thing, you kind of got, Arike coming in, Paige as well. Like there's gonna be some clashes there. There's some very strong egos between the two of them. And it's just being a great basketball player. Not saying that either one has a disrespectful attitude towards the other, but there's only one basketball. And that coach has got to figure that out. And they have to figure that out quickly in order for that franchise to be successful because they had a really up and down year. I don't agree with the coaching change, but we're definitely going to see how that plays out for the year. That's one of the top stories to watch at the top of the year.
Oh yeah, definitely how Dallas plays out because they truly were a disappointment across the league, and and also with the fans, and
Yeah.
even to the media, were surprised and shocked because I think a lot of us expected them to be in the playoffs and to be, a team to be contended with. And, to see the way that they suffered losses last year was just, I can't say inexplainable. I really do believe that a lot of it had to do with the players. I mean, you can't blame everything on the coach.
Yeah.
Coach puts stuff out there on the floor. It's up to the players to get it done, regardless as to whether they believe in the things that she's saying, whether they like her, whether this or that. In women's basketball, we get so caught up in emotional stuff, and I don't like her, so maybe I don't play for her, or
Yeah.
I don't like her, so maybe I don't pass her the ball, or I don't like her, so maybe I won't, go as hard. And if, as a coach, if you could sift through that and break through that ice, and it really does play, it's on the players to
Yeah.
really sift through that and mature. And it's about maturity, and you have to mature quick once you go into the league and you become a pro. Those things that you did when you were in college, they no longer apply. And some things aren't bedfellows, and having an attitude with your teammate and trying to win a championship, they don't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And so I really do hope that they develop chemistry quickly out there. And speaking of Paige, Juju and USC, they give UConn some payback with a 72-70 victory over Gino and company, giving us a glimpse into the dance and March Madness this year. I can't say that there are as many great players as there were last year, but there still are some great teams that are around. Who's your fave this year?
To win it all, I
Well,
would
your
I,
favorite teams, for the women's side, and you can throw the men's side in there too if you like.
I would actually say for the women, you got to throw South Carolina in there. They're like a machine. Dawn has, she's got a factory over there. Move them in, move them out, move them in, move them out. They're great every year. You gotta love what USC is doing with Juju and Kiki Efren. That 1-2 punch is nice. UCLA, they're coming on strong here. You can't forget about Louisville. There are some teams that are gonna sneak up on people in This year's March Madness, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. You gotta stay glued to the TV. Gotta stay glued.
Yeah, I'm watching, Hidalgo, over there at Notre Dame as well.
Yeah,
So that's a school that I almost went to. They came in a comfortable second to Old Dominion University, so I almost went to Notre
yeah.
Dame.
They got the best backcourt in the country. Olivia Miles and Hideko, they got that best backcourt. They remind you of Isaiah and Joe Dumars.
Mm,
They tough.
mm.
They hard nosed. They get the job done.
Yeah, as nails. And so, yeah, it's definitely going to make for an exciting season and postseason. to be real honest, it's right around the corner. I mean, March, here we are, we're getting ready to go into the new year, January, and you know how it is. Uh,
Hmm.
once football season is over and we're in full bloom and full effect
Yeah.
with basketball, women's basketball, men's basketball, NBA, and all the way over to the Euro League if you want to catch up with some of your players over there. We have a lot of excitement for the winter. The NBA is heating up, but you know I just for the NBA, who's your team to watch?
I've been spitting Cleveland out for the last couple of years, and they have finally arrived. They are looking dangerous. They got a system, regardless of who the coach was. That organization, from top to bottom, they are one of the model NBA organizations. They have a fantastic general manager in Mike Gansey, who was a hell of a player at the University of West Virginia with those Kevin Pittsnagel squads. So, kids, if you go back in YouTube, Kevin Pittsnagel, you'll see some highlights of general manager Mike Gansey. It's with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he was a hooper, not a basketball player. He was a hooper.
Yeah,
So you gotta look at that. You gotta look at the OKC Thunder when Chat comes back and what that team is doing defensively. It reminds you of some of those older Piston teams. They're knocking players around. They're not playing. They're getting after it.
yeah. I like watching them play. They're tough. They even got them tough on NBA 2K now. So they're playing. You gotta, and I don't think people, you laugh and you always laugh at me, but I tell said people don't pay enough attention to NBA 2K when you see players get traded to other teams and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
see all these GM decisions that are being made. A lot of that stuff, if you
It
pay
comes to
attention,
fruition.
it comes to fruition. And because I watched a couple of things that I had
Uh,
mentioned to you. Like, yo, I saw on NBA 2K such and such
yeah.
got traded to Philadelphia, and then well, lo and behold, it didn't happen that year, but 2 years later, he's playing in Philly. So,
Yeah,
um,
the
that
analytics are deep, and that's
yeah,
today's game.
yeah,
It's all about
yeah,
analytics. If you're great at math and science, you got a career in the NBA. There's a
yeah.
job for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really I like Magic. I think they've been coming on like for just for
Yeah,
some time, you know, just zeroing in on some players, and they're young, and I like how they get after it and they get out and run and they play defense. Man,
and they're deep.
and
They're
they're yeah,
deep.
and they are deep. And those Franz brothers down there, I tell you what.
Yeah, and Mo just recently, unfortunately, he suffered a season-ending injury last night. But the Wagner brothers, I got to watch them up close when they were at the University of Michigan. I spent time with them at practice along with Jawan, and those kids can go.
Yeah, and to watch how they've developed over the years, and being a part of the NBA assistant coaches program and getting the opportunity to watch some of these guys, where they were and where they're heading, and to see some of the development, of where they're going to, like, literally being, a part of the 2018 you know uh players, top 100 coaches for boys, and
Yeah,
we have to talk about it. I mean, Zion is on the trading block right now.
yeah, yeah, and rightfully so. New Orleans, they did everything that they could. Sometimes it's not always the organization, it is the actual player. And he's got people around him. He's got a bunch of yes men. And unfortunately, he got to look in the mirror and really ask himself those questions. Do I want to be an NBA player? Is this for me? Regardless of my skills or ability, do I really want this?
And it's really unfortunate because to have watched this guy, especially in the coaches camp, the top 100, and how how the stage was set, for him, and
Yeah,
not saying that they were like giving him everything, but the stage was set for him. You went to Duke, you coach Krzyzewski was your coach. I mean, the table was completely set for him, and to see like, what it's become, it's disheartening
Yeah.
because they made it easy for you to be successful. They really did. When I look at it like a kid at like Tremont Waters, who I coached, and we're playing in the championship game against Zion, and this kid ends up getting co-MVP with Zion, and he has to go the rough route. He did play in Boston. I was hoping that Boston would keep him, and he would, at least get
Yeah.
to play on different teams. And I think he was in Puerto Rico. He could still be in Puerto Rico. No, I think he's in China now, as a matter of fact. So
Yeah, he's in
he's
China.
tearing it up now. And his route, the route that he had to take, a guy who stays in the gym, is a gym rat, has a good work ethic. God bless his fathers, may he rest in peace. Who
Yeah.
passed away like 3 years ago, that really, made a difference in his life. His father was, that one who was getting up with him at, 5 o'clock in the morning so he can go and shoot with him, and, making sure he was doing the things that he needed to do. He was a godly man, family man. And so like you look at that picture, and then, you look at Zion's picture, not saying, bad things about his family, because I don't know him like that.
Yeah.
I'm close to Tremont. And so like, it's just, man, like if you look at it, dang, Tremont really deserved a lot more
Yeah.
of a chance, than he got. And so you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind, sitting here with my dude, Don Dada. We're chopping it up,
Yeah.
and the last thing I want to talk about, and it's major, is, I want to ask you, how has the JUCO decision on 4-year eligibility affect basketball as a whole? Because for years it's been, a 2-year situation, 2-year situation. Everybody knew, you're going to go there for 2 years, either
Mhm.
you're going to make it, or I don't know what happens after that. There's not really a lot of people telling that story, but and it's usually not the path of basketball. You usually go out there, now you're in the workforce. You don't make it within that 2 years, or you go overseas. Maybe if you were more than average,
Yeah.
and you catch a lucky break. But talk about JUCO making that decision.
Let me give you the crystal ball where we've been saying it for a couple of years when all of this went down with the NIL and when the decision was in the Supreme Court of how this was going to affect the lower levels of basketball. Your high school basketball player, your top 40 kids, just like the draft in a sense, your top 40 high school kids will get to play at a major D1 school. Due to the transfer portal and coaches being able to pull from the portal, and you have college free agency now. Kids are just like, hey, I'm not getting playing time here. I'm about to go over here. Hey, I was in the layup line, and the coach kind of winked at me. Hey, we were in the handshake line. The third assistant coach grabbed me by my neck and kind of pulled me close and said, hey, man, we got a spot for you. I really like your defense. So the high school kids will be having to showcase themselves for the junior colleges. It's no longer what it was before. You're going to have a ton of, schools that no one ever heard of in these high school gyms. Some of these JUCOs are going to have to up their scouting budgets because they now are in play for kids that are ranked 50 and under. They're in play for those kids. So the entire landscape has changed. And not only on the men's side, on the women's side as well. This is huge for the entire landscape of college. But when you talk about, men's professional basketball, you talk about men's college basketball, we are in an era where a kid can almost be with the COVID rule that is still in effect for that extra year eligibility until I believe 2033. You can have a kid be almost 28 or 29 before they come out of college. You got to look at that.
Yeah,
Almost 30.
I mean, it's like, it goes back to that, yo, we need to look at his passport, and it used to be where we would always, like, really, it was a real joke with the foreign players.
Yeah.
And now it's no longer just a joke with the foreign players. You know, uh, it's also now a joke here in the United States,
Mhm.
show me your passport, and maybe it'll, slow down this whole reclassification thing too, because
Oh
that
yeah,
could
that's dead.
really
That is dead.
yeah,
Reclass won't be a thing anymore.
yeah, absolutely. And you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind. And don't forget to go and download, share, listen to, like, and subscribe on your podcast platform. Sammy Sosa,
Hit that button.
peace out.